This video is about the Blood Wars, and the question is, who wants to reign in hell? So I am pulling this very close to me so you can see me and have a very good look at my facial structure and my eye color, because some clients have sent books to me, and one of the questions that people have asked me again and again is to explain the Blood Wars and the different blood groups. So I have my own experience, and I'll be speaking on my own experience. And I've read a book called The Blood Wars, which is very detailed. I've read it 3 times, and I've ordered the book so I can continue to reference it. And I've also put my notes on my Facebook page, Lalita Astrology and Lalita Karoli, because I could not post them on YouTube this morning. So that's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if this will stay up on YouTube, because anything that I speak about that has to do with medical issues usually gets removed. So it's very hard to make this video. So let's start by explaining that some of my clients know that they are dragons and some know that they are reptilians, and I want to make a distinction. So the old dragon line was part of the Earth hologram, and it was evolved during Hyperborea with the Elven race. So those dragon lines are original to the ancient structures of Gaia before she was a prison during Hyperborea. And those blood groups are true dragons, and they tend to be the O negative blood group. The reptilians are a different thing. So the reptilians are a hybridized race. When the Anunnaki grabbed some beings from Thuban and Alpha Draconis and hybridized them into a warrior race, and basically went around doing genocides and war all over the galaxy. And whenever they found another really good warrior race, like they did in the Sirius star system, so the Sirians, they would hybridize those in. When they invaded here into the terraformed Tara, T-A-R-A, or Terra, T-E-R-R-A, the terraformed Earth hologram, which was a ship that was moving. As I said, it did not have time. It was created by a certain founder race, and that founder race was from a certain waveform that created a 5th dimensional, no time matrix. It was a matrix, okay, because we had been severed from Andromeda. So, I mean, this was all in my blogs, and someone wanted a book called Lalita for Dummies. My blogs are gone, and they're never coming back. And even my go back digital shamans cannot figure out how to put it back up. So it's gone. It's really gone permanently. So that tells you something about what I've been sharing. For 4 years, I wrote Lalita for Dummies, which is so hysterical that somebody wanted that written. I don't know how to get that to you, because it's very difficult for someone like me to even get a video out there or post something. I have to do it in my own handwriting. And my emails are being intercepted again, so people are not even receiving their charts. So I can only send you your chart on Skype at this point. So anyways, one of the books that a client recommended is The Dragon Legacy. Now, these are the werewolf, vampire, hybridized reptilians. These are not the original dragons. So my dragon client, who is a real dragon of the O negative group, of the ancient white dragons of the Elven race of Hyperborea, said that this guy's an agent. And yes, this guy is terrifying, okay? When you read this, these are the cannibals, the werewolf, vampire, blood drinker, reptilians that also need the sexual fluids of virgins. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to get this video up. Anyways, And they really consider themselves quite different than a human or a Homo sapien. And they really do consider their group to be the Anunnaki draconian group. But he's a reptilian. He's not a true dragon. So a dragon is a dragon. A reptilian is a hybridized form. So anyways, he really thinks that we are useless eaters, we humans. And he breaks it down to homo meaning mediocre and sapien meaning cunning, which I think is quite interesting. Because sapien, to me, like sapiential knowledge, is knowledge through experience. Like, we know what this place is because we are this place. We are the original founder race of the Gaia Earthship hologram, which was 5D and was connected to Andromeda. Then we got severed. In my last video, I explained how the sheath came off of Saturn and created time. The sun and the moon are the time, sine and cosine, and the planets are the archons, which create the seven heavens. And the invaders were imprisoned in one of those heavens, called the second heaven, for the last 70 generations. And that caused quarantine to this earth, because basically they can't leave. They're quarantined. They're known throughout the galaxy as this genocidal warrior race. So we're actually locked in here with them. That's part of what happened. And then Enoch, being one of those reptilian hybrids, got transfigured to Metatron and created all these geometries that harvest us and recycle us again and again and again. Our original golden light form, okay? Our auric field is gold. So anyways, this guy, he's really on it with the whole lineage. Now, both the dragon line and the reptilian line consider the Nephilim character, Jesus Christ, to be their being, because he was a 9-strand avatar. The 9-strand avatar is the reptilian line. So they've inverted the tree of life to a 9-strand being, which is an AB negative blood group, which is a complete Nephilim psychopath. Okay. So he and Magdalene are claimed by these reptilians as their Messiah. So I want you to know that that being, that 9-strand being, was not crucified, and they admit he was not crucified. Okay. There was another 12-strand being, which was the true being, the true avatar, which had completely human parents, and that 12-strand avatar, Yeshua, did only exiting. He exited people, get them out of here, get them out of hell, okay? So there's a really interesting thing, because these people are 9-strand, and we are the 12-strand original humans. So I'm going to explain that. What's also interesting is he shows this whole lineage in the back of who's who, which I'm going to just go with it. Like, he thinks those are the elite lines. And then if you go to page 347, they don't have to do all that much work to control us, because, as I've said, all they do is raise the frequencies. And he says, it is possible to influence humans or human-related events by pitching the resonance at theta, which is below the conscious delta wavelength, and use this as a carrier wave within which is mixed visualized desire of the practitioner. This is not magic, this is quantum physics. The dynamic of the will aspect of it has been verified by Princeton University Engineering. So basically, this is what I've been explaining. The original Earth human needs to vibrate at like 7.5. And to sleep, you need to vibrate much lower than that. So whenever they spike up that Schumann resonance, they're trying to distort you, to harm you, because they vibrate at a very different resonance, which I've explained, and they've also explained in their books, okay? So Yeah, so I read that book and I do know all about the vampires and the blood drinkers, and I explained that many times in my blogs about the blood drinkers, and the whole crucifixion fiction is that they're just trying to get you repeating that drinking of the blood and the body. Okay, drinking the blood and the body. I've also made videos about anyone who wants Sophia to return as an agent also, because Sophia, in both of these books, they know she's like a bitch. Like, there's no hope for this feminine demon. I mean, and so the other book that was sent to me by a client is this book. This person's goes by Jonathan Mercedes. I don't think that's his real name, but this guy is a DeVere. Okay, I think that is his real name. And the DeVeres were the were, or the vampires and the werewolves. Okay, so that is a hybridized blood drinking reptilian line. This person, who is quite competent, but has the blindness of his group, is also claiming Lilith as the O positive originator of the bloodline. Well, what's interesting is Lilith is a Lyran. Okay, so she is a lion avian. So meaning that if you ever look at a picture of Lilith, which is my line, she is winged with talons for feet and has two lions next to her. So that is the original mother who Adam couldn't deal with, because she was wild and exuberant and free and not part of any time construct, and was very much part of like the wave form of the original Earth human. So she's a Lyran, okay? A Lyran is a feline avian being, meaning a lion, winged bird being. As I've told you, the reptilians are a reptile avian. So the reptile avian also apparently claims Lilith, but then they threw her out, right? Adam couldn't deal with her, and she went to the Lord of Light. And it also says that when Gilgamesh defiled and raped everybody, Lilith fled the life tree. Now that is the difference between the 12 strand and the 9. These people are all 9. Okay, they have no hope of ever getting out of here. I hate to say that. But ultimately, if we collapse this whole thing, we original spirited beings, if we collapse this whole thing, it's not going to exist, and they'll get out of here too. So people are like, you have compassion for Yaldabaoth? Well, yeah, I do. I mean, Yaldabaoth is this demon death thing. When Sophia self-fertilized and like gave birth to a dead thing and then blew her dreaming into this dead thing. I mean, it's like, like you had miscarried a baby or a stillborn and then blew life into something that was dead, and then it declared itself God. I mean, that's what Yaldabaoth is, and what this author calls the Lord. Yaldabaoth is Enlil, okay? So this being is completely demonic and crushes everybody and wipes everybody out again and again. So when they first came, what they bred with was the apes, a fallen line that created the Neanderthal. We were never Neanderthals, ever, okay? We were always a fifth dimensional form that did not have a meat suit. Now, after the Atlantean timeline, well, they were removed, okay? They went to Mars. They came back from Mars and established the high technology geneticists who did then hybridize into the human form, and Atlantis fell, Lemuria fell. All of our etheric structures, particularly the watery cetacean, sea nymph structures, fell. And we became meat, okay? We became a hybridized form. That doesn't mean that you are not still originally a 12-strand DNA. They've just done everything that they can to ruin that, okay? If there's anything the fallen angelic fears, it's the original earth human. And these people are all the fallen angelics. Okay, so we're going to get into the Nephilim. I've already made a video about the Nephilim and where did the hybridization begin. So, so let me see. I made some very detailed notes because this is some very detailed information and people have asked me questions and I want to answer those questions. It's probably going to rain here in hell again. So this video is about who wants to reign in hell. The Nephilim, they're psychopaths. They're very unstable mentally and physically. So even my clients who are from that bloodline admit that they're psychopaths. So and this is going to be a very black and white video, but I know there's also good beings from that reptilian line, from the Nephilim line that want to get out of here too, okay? Because they know the psychopaths are going to level the whole thing again, and we're all going to leave and the whole thing's going to collapse, basically, is what's going to happen. But somebody had this question. His name is Robert. He's really demanding an answer to his question. How can you take a higher dimensional being and ruin a paradise? The answer is through rape. So I've said again and again, the way they did this is they are massive rapists. They are sexual predators. And when a sexual predator from the Anunnaki or reptilian line rapes a human being, and you get pregnant, you become a chimera. And I've spoken about removing the nog and getting that snake technology out of you. A chimera, which the word is actually microchimerism, is when every woman who becomes pregnant with the other bloodline, with the Rh negative bloodline, they become a chimera and they actually carry two sets of DNA. And the pregnancy, like the placenta and the fetus, those genetics travel into your organs, and you as a original earth human can have both. So that's how some of us actually got the Rh negative in us, was that through rape and rape and rape and murder and rape, basically that started to interfere with the original earth human. Okay, so every time that happened and a woman got pregnant, she would carry two different sets of DNA, and then one of them or the other one would come out, okay? So what did we live in? Millions of years ago, we were part of Andromeda. My Saturn is at Merak. It makes my mind very brilliant. Merak is the star of Andromeda that I am originally from when I was part of that founder race. And again, I'm nothing at all, so I don't identify with any of this. I am as nothing and no story as anybody here because we're all from the void, but I'm just also trying to tell you the galactic history of what happened. So yes, I have a brilliant mind because my Saturn is at Merak, which makes me definitely always tied to Andromeda and have all of those memories. My vertex is at Alcyon because for a time we were connected to the Pleiades and the good Pleiadians, and our star was Alcyon. And then we got hijacked and grabbed and phase locked with the sun and moon. So now we're in some kind of weird geometric prison. But anyways, back on Tara, it was a fifth dimensional, no time, density 5 holographic spaceship Earth. Okay, so, and all my people who hate me and think there's no such thing as reptilians, like, just stop looking at my channel, stop commenting, stop sending me emails, because you have no effing idea, okay? So we were a waveform of the blue ray aquamarine, the gold ray, which is the pale gold auric field, and the violet to magenta ray. And those waveforms created the 12-strand DNA. We were all from M31, Andromeda. The founder race was the feline avian, meaning the lion bird woman Lilith, the cetacean, which are the dolphin beings from Sirian, and the Pleiadians, who, by the way, were originally dark-skinned. So my father has, well, my father's deceased now, but he had a black afro. So somebody recently referred to me as a white woman. I think you have no idea what you're talking about, by the way. My father had very dark eyes and a black afro with very full lips, and he was Pleiadian, okay? And my mother's also Pleiadian, but I have the line of the feline avian from Lilith. So this tree of life that was originally a 12-strand tree of life was inverted through the rape invasion of the Zeta Draco Rh negative slaves who were already slaves and hybridized by the Anunnaki, who are called the Zeta Regalians. Those reptilians, who are the angel demon things that I've talked about before, took wives among the women who are Rh positive and inverted this tree of life. So Robert, your question about how could we as higher dimensional beings ever get raped and the whole thing inverted, it was through sexual violence, okay? So then we were quarantined with them for 70 generations. As I read from the book of Enoch, they were in trouble and they were put in prison in the second heaven for 70 generations, and they're now out among us as the high technologists doing their weird genetic shit again. So we were quarantined with them. That's what happened. And then I also explained that if you've had intervention and your gender twin is stuck here or in a different vector or a different timeline or got the Rh negative, it's very hard to get out of here, okay? So you can't have sex with a draconian Anunnaki reptilian hybrid, or it's possible you will get stuck here. But my thing is we're going to close this whole thing and everybody's leaving. Back to the void, even Yaldabaoth. Experiment over, Earthship done, I'm done. It can never go back to a 5D density, okay? So basically, at this point, we're in 2023. We've passed the 3-day particle conversion, which happened in 2017, which I was very aware of. And it's just not going to happen, folks. We've got to shut the thing down now. That is our responsibility. So the original O-Dragon elves from Hyperborea were manipulated by the Demiurge invasion also. Yaldabaoth and Lil, which is explained very well in here, encouraged murder extermination templates, and then the victor got to have the women, children, and livestock as a harvest, okay? So this being, this demiurge being, Yaldabaoth, who set himself up as the Lord, okay, he wants the best genetics, so he set out war after war. So the O-negative original dragons were then harvested by the Canaanites. All right. And I've spoken about all that stuff, Mount Hermon and all that group. Okay. They took the white dragons and the elven races and they massively massacred and then took their women and children. It's in here. I already knew that. And I've talked about Hyperborea before in my blogs. They also harvested the best warrior genetics from the Syrians, which is the B group, the B blood group. So Claude is a panther being from Sirius. So everyone's going to really freak out on this, but he also has the A-line Pleiadian. So whenever Claude has gone to a seer, okay, so we went to see a seer and they were like, wow, you're that very rare panther Syrian, like very quiet, introspective, sneaky, little bit sneaky, like Claude, you know, his favorite thing is sneaking. I really had to bring him up on how not to be a sneaky panther being. But they were grabbed as elite warriors, so you don't want to make Claude mad, let me tell you. I mean, I can deal with him because if you've ever seen me angry, it is quite scary, and I am going to address that. Otherwise, I'm pretty much having a humorous time here in hell, looking at the weird shit going on. It's a freak show. But yeah, they were grabbed, and then they were hybridized into the B negative, the beta line. which are total psychopaths, okay? And they're running the show now, the B negative psychopaths. And then all of these genetics were hybridized into also this very rare AB negative line when they genetically created their Jesus Christ thing, which is a 9-strand being. And they had to do all kinds of inserts to those beings because they're not right mentally, okay? They're not right physically either. So ultimately, what's going on now is the Yaldabaoth being is threatening everybody's extinction. And I'm like, good, excellent, good idea, Yaldabaoth. But is going to then also harvest a transgender cyborg race. So what's going on right now is they're planning to take, as I said, the special ops hybridized cyborg race of the Ultimate Warrior, which everybody in the whole galactic group is super freaked out about. And they want the AB negative werewolf vampire blood drinking cyborg for the Orion hybrid with a hive mind as their special ops Navy SEALs. Okay? So that's what they're doing now. So whether you're a dragon or you're a reptilian hybrid or you're an original Earth human or you're a Sirian or a Lyran or Pleiadian or an Arcturian, who are the actually 7th dimensional, they kind of look out for us as a benevolent group. And I've met a lot of Arcturians lately. You all want to get out of here because they could grab any of your genetics at this point because they are massively doing their experiments. And this author talks about the last experiment that they did and that they're targeting certain groups. So this is a benevolent hybridized being who knows what his group is up to, and he's telling about it honestly, okay? So, again, I'm nothing, all right? I'm telling you a story right now that also is not me, because I am ultimately of the void. I am nothingness, and in the no-time 5D experience that we had, we always went back to the void and then came back in if we want to. We were free. We were not recycled. We were not scripted by these stupid archonic planets either, which is going on now. So ultimately, remember, you're from the void. When someone asks you to raise your vibration, know that they're an agent, okay? Because as I read to you, we O positives create the brain wave of the Earth ship. And as you know, any kind of ship is a consciousness. So Gaia is a consciousness. And she depends on my wavelength, my brainwave. And if she is being messed with, I have to get myself to a very quiet place, like I am now, without a smart meter, without a Wi-Fi modem, and be very quiet, which I have to do for 4 days a week. Still, silent, quiet. And that's what I do. So stop asking me for sessions, please. I mean, I'm booked until September 14th. I need to be quiet. I need to be silent. The most important thing that I do is walking for 2 or 3 miles to keep my legs going and be quiet, be silent. So they use anything above the 14 hertz to 28 hertz to cause terrible anxiety, and they'll use a theta wave to hurt us. Their zeta beings, the Anunnaki, actually vibrate at 112 to 224 hertz. That'll kill you, all right? The Anunnaki want to raise the vibration of the planet because they need to make it for them. They also live as recluses, just so you know. So my Anunnaki clients, they live utterly alone as recluses because this whole system does not work for them either. They're extremely uncomfortable here and have a lot of physical and mental ailments. So remember that we're in a dead matrix. Yaldabaoth is the Lord here, and that when you're here, you're actually dead. When you leave here, you're finally alive or a life again. So do not be afraid of the weird incineration pulse technologies that they're using now because they're planning to clear the landscape. All you've got to do is make sure that you do not get recycled into their singularity box and you do not be harvested as a cyborg elite Navy SEAL. So now what I'm going to go about telling you is the different bloodlines in the way I understand them in my experience, not what somebody's book says. I have thousands of clients. I have a lot of experience with the bloodlines because I can see it with my clients and my personal experience. So the A positive is being targeted right now. That's the alpha male. They are the natural leaders and athletes. I'd show you a picture of my brother who's an A positive. He is a natural leader and he's very caring, loving, compassionate, empathic, wants people to have fun and do things as groups, and he leads them all. I can't say anything more about him because I don't want anyone messing with him. The A positive female is what my mom is. My mom is extremely compassionate, nurturing, listening, loving, wants to feed everyone. They are also targeted. The A negative tends to be an Asperger's autism line. So I worked with a person for 10 years who's A negative. He had 2 different eye colors. He had the negative blood group mixed up in him. He came from the Pike family, which were the Masons of England, and he was extremely intelligent and very disturbed and dangerous. And he hated himself so much that he would punch himself in the face. That is a tendency of the A negative line. And I'm not saying that it's black and white like that. Not all A negatives are going to be that Asperger autism line, but they tend to be very smart and dangerous. Okay. The O positive is the original Earth human. They are the hunter-gatherer. They know how to work with Earth energies. They know how to kayak. They know how to go down the river. They know how to ride horses. They have a lot of common sense. They like to work hard. They need a lot of physical outlet. They are really natural with animals. Like I walk into the woods and see bears and fox, and even a long-tailed catamount, and they just look at me. No problem. They never attack me because I am one with that earth energy of the O positive. If you don't know, I'm also very good with plants. I'm a natural terraformer. I was a terraformer of the original Earth ship Gaia. And again, I'm not trying to play myself up. None of this is about my story. I'm never going to identify it as an anything because I'm nothing at all. But if you know me, I'm very good with gardens, and I can make basically a paradise and never have to eat their food. Earth magic shamans, also great artists. I've always been artistic. Both of my daughters extremely artistic because we see with pictures. Like I have a photographic memory. Like I can mental map my way through the woods. I can never figure out a through way. I am so lost in a city, I can't tell you. But if you put me out on 770 acres of wildlife preserve, I'm fine. I know how to get anywhere. So that's O positive. Then the O negative are the old dragon lines that I have no problem with at all. Some of my best friends are the O negative groups. They're the old dragon lines from Hyperborea, Elven group that was massacred by the Zeta Draco. So apparently, I don't know where my paper is right now, the numbers on these groups are that A positive is 33% of the population, O positive is 38% of the population, so apparently O positive is the majority blood group. I don't know if it's true, I'm just telling you what I found. And then the O negative is only 7%, so they were massively massacred. Yeah, you O negative people are very rare at this point. You're the original white dragon line. And then the B groups came from Syrian lines. The B positive is like a very empathic, sensitive, like Claude, who's got the AB positive, my partner, like music really hurts him. Like if you want to mess him up, play some really bad music. He's got to wear earplugs at night because he's super sensitive to sound. He's a great musician. I'm talking about like Bach, like really amazing musician. Claude and I have made music together. And then the B negative are the vampires. They're the sexual perverts. They're the werewolves. They're the psychopath male, beta male in charge at this point. The AB positive is a very good group in my experience. That's what Claude is. I had to get the demon out of him because his father was the AB negative hybridized Nephilim demon group. And his father was a true psychopath. If you talk to Claude about what his father was like, which he does not like to talk about, he was like, he would sneak up behind and attack. He was like a total murderer. And yet in his mind, he was an elite. Okay. He was part of the Nazi group that Hitler was trying to exterminate. So Harvard grabbed him. Okay. So he was the AB negative of the Skull and Bones Harvard Nazi group. All right. That Hitler was actually trying to get rid of. Okay. The good AB positives, Hitler was not trying to get rid of. They were part of Schem's group, which is the German Saxon line, which is what Claude is. Extremely intelligent, extremely sensitive. His father hated him, hated everything about him because he was the AB positive line. He was like the chosen group. Okay. The AB negative has mental illness. They can do bad rape type of stuff, but also cannibalism, but it's because they're just not right, okay? They're in the Nephilim, and they call themselves the L-ites, or the elites. And people are mad at me about that, but also people from that group have told me that that's a psychopathic group. They tend to transgender. If they have a penis, they tend to have also move into having a vagina. So there's nothing right about that group, and yet their Draco demon avatar, the Christ being, was and his partner Magdalene was part of that Nephilim group. Just so you know, those are not my people. The 12-strand Yeshua, which was born by two human parents, were totally human at the same time. Just taught people to get out of here. Exit, get out of here. And I wrote all about that in my blogs and the name of his parents and everything like that. So now I'm going to share with you some writings from other mystics that have the same perspective that I do. As short as possible, I have paraphrased some other mystics that I'm not going to name. The arrival, parentheses invasion, of the Anunnaki was because they have a fallen or failed genetic line and needed to enter the life wave of Tara, the Earth hologram. They mated with apes and created a Yeti-like Neanderthal creature, which I'm sure you've seen the pictures of these things. And they did that as a desperate attempt to survive. They needed genetics, okay? And then again, now I was never a Neanderthal or an ape. Okay, I've not evolved from that line. We do not, if that was a failed line, okay, and it's still a failed line. We are something completely different than us. And if you actually read Clan of the Cave Bear, I think it was, I remember reading that years ago, there was the Neanderthal line who lived in caves and had a very different experience. And then there was an upright woman, her name was Ayla, and she came from a completely different line. Okay, there were two different lines here. One of them, the Neanderthal line, was the Anunnakis mating with ape, just so you know. And then during the Atlantean period, after the banishment on Mars of those Nephilim, they arrived or invaded again, and they were absolutely obsessed with genetics, and they made a lot of monster beings during the Atlantean timeline, which I have discussed in videos before. And they were the high technologists that intercepted and degenerated the human. Okay, so Atlantis and Lemuria both were flooded because it was a massive disaster. It was a massive genetic disaster, okay? And then another mystic writer explains that these archontic entities, which means the Zeta Draco, also transmit psychological warfare as mind control weaponry targeting humanity to distort their gender and sexuality as a sexual misery program. So whatever you do, do not have either physical or astral sex with that line. This guy, who I would advise everybody to run as fast and far away from that line as possible. They really should not be reproducing. How's this video ever going to get posted? Anyways, because they have mental illness, physical illness, and they tend to have to be blood drinkers. So they have a vampire problem. And I've talked to a couple of clients who mixed into that line, and they have the vampire problem too. So there's a white blood cell to red blood cell problem in the body. I guess I deal with that specifically with those clients. But anyways, I just want to skip to the AB positive is 4% of the population, 4%. The B negative is only 2% of the population, and the B negative are the people, the beta males who basically are in charge now. And the AB negative is less than 1% of the population, but they consider themselves the line of the gods or the Nephilim. And I don't even want to say any of the names because people are so upset, but I had shared on Facebook a picture of these people, and they really think that they are the L-ites, okay? To this author, I commend you for your work, but you do have a major blind spot, and that's that none of us want to be here and we're leaving, okay? So we're out of here, and a lot of my clients have said, you can have this hell realm. Who wants to reign in hell? We're done with the death matrix. We're done with the massacres. We're done with the genetic engineering. We don't want to be an AB negative psychopath. Do you hear me? And you've never seen me angry, but I'm going to talk to you what it's like when an O positive person does get angry. Because we control the earth energy here. We control the fire, the water, the electrical air, and the soil. That is what we are. Okay, so this person says on page 214, join us by recognizing the truth and finally seek to become a dragon by adding our blood to your bloodline. No, never going to happen. Sorry. It will take a combined effort of all the tribes and lineages to work together if this species hopes to persist, because with the way it is looking, either AI, which is Yaldabaoth, will take over and destroy all beings deemed defective by examining the exact same data that he has. I mean, this guy writes like a computer. Data that I did, knowing that everyone who is not cis AB negative is incomplete. Are you incomplete? I'm nothing at all. You can't get a hold of me, so to speak, and would likely keep all humans in zoos. Well, we've already been like that for about 75,000 years, buddy, because of your group. Would keep them all in zoos after annihilating all the unbalanced Draco lineages, which goes on again and again, right? Whoever this insecure lord is, Yaldabaoth, all he does is massacre his own people. So the unbalanced Draco lines, deeming them plausible threat to existence, and the planet as a whole, knowing their insatiable greed and twisted nature, would lead to the inevitable destruction of all life. So yeah, they're twisted. And all they do is massacre because that's what they were created as. Like, their genetics are so disturbed. They took like the best of the O negative dragon from the Hyperborean race and added it to their genetics by killing off the males and taking the kids and the women. They took the best of the Syrian groups, which does have a negative group to it, which was their warrior group, because they got their ass kicked by them and then wanted their genetics because they're a demon race. Okay? All right. So you haven't ever seen me angry. But two different clients recently sent me the YouTube channel of a person who identified me as a white woman, which you've never met my father, have you? With strawberry blonde hair, which no, it's not, who's angry. And I just want to tell you that you never want to see me angry. A few people have seen me angry. Claude's outside, or he would tell you. So a few people have seen me angry, and I wrote this all up, but I'm going to tell you, and I might need to read it. I was angry once in 1996 when they asked my partner, who was A positive, to leave the hospital. I had a baby in a New York hospital where home birth is not allowed. It's actually illegal in New York. And they were trying to take her and do stuff to her. You know what I'm talking about. And I wouldn't let them. And as I was falling asleep, they took her from my arms. Now, I was bleeding pretty heavily because I was in a hospital, so I had that adrenal thing going, a fight or flight. For an O positive, you need to give birth in like a cave, okay? Which I did with my second child. But anyways, they tried to grab her, and immediately the earth energy of fire, electrical air, water came up, and a cyclone started to come down the street from the Hudson River. And I was angry, okay? I became the fiendess in like split-second fiendess energy, okay? And it turned all the power off in the entire city. So it was early evening. It was Newburgh, New York. All the lights went off in the whole hospital. Everything back then did not have generators. The whole thing shut down. I looked out the window, and this spinning cyclone of water and electrical air was coming down the street, right? And it looked at me. It actually looked at me. And when it looked at me, I said, okay, I see you. And they brought the baby right back because all the lights had gone out, so they couldn't get anywhere. As soon as the baby was back in my arms, the cyclone dropped. Okay, it took a whole lot of buildings down, roofs off of houses, and the power out. That's what it looks like when I'm angry. So you've never seen me angry. So whoever that speaker was, who said I was a white woman with strawberry blonde hair that's angry, you don't ever want to see me angry. Because the O positive group is the consciousness of the earth, the air, the fire, the water, all right? And the O positive group is the dominant blood group on this realm. And when we leave, we're shutting this thing down. So we're the original spirited beings. And people have used my Nephilim video and kind of changed it a little bit, because when I said we were severed from our home, they took out the word Andromeda. But I have my Saturn, which is like the weird architect of the computer here, conjunct Merak. And Merak is the chained woman of Andromeda. We're still connected to Andromeda because I'm here and you're here too, okay? And we're done with this shit, all right? You can, Yaldabaoth, do whatever you want, because I'm shutting this thing down. I am going back to the void, and we have major momentum now. Even the reptilian groups, my clients who are reptilian and Anunnaki, are like done with this shit. They're like, Nibiru's not coming for them because they don't want anything to do with Nibiru. In fact, I'm pretty sure this author also said he didn't want anything to do with Nibiru. All right, so all of us are done with your shit. All of us are done being hybridized, manipulated, imprisoned. And when this author says that it's going to put us in a zoo, we're already in a zoo. I'm done with the zoo. I'm done being a genetic experiment, and I will never, it is not possible for me to become a dragon or an AB negative hybrid, because I will not. I don't even think it's possible, because when I think about this and I really looked into this blood stuff, I have never had sex with any of your group. And I won't. Not astrally and not physically. You know what I mean? Okay. So I hope that this is saved. I'm going to stop the recording, And I know this is going to raise a lot of issues. I will not be providing links. Do not ask me to be Google, because I am not. You figure it out. And when you read these books, you have to decipher it. Like when I read this book, and this guy thinks he's like the elites and should get rid of the humans, I'm going, what is he really? He's a pedophile and he's a blood drinker. Okay? I am not convinced by him at all. And I am not impressed by his lineage at all. So when you read the books, just look at page 214 of this author who I do respect because he is criticizing his own line. We're not incomplete if we're not cis AB negative. It's impossible for me to become a cis AB negative, and I will not. So I'm not incomplete. You know why? Because I'm nothing at all. I don't have the dragon codes and the dragon lines and the dragon rules. I can leave here anytime. I'm not part of your karmic bullshit. I'm not part of your genetic research. I'm not part of your weird karmic evolutionary wheel because I never was and I never will be because I'm nothing at all because I'm from the void. And so are you, if you could figure it out and stop being so identified with your bloodline and your lineage. Okay? So there you go, folks. Have a good look at me. My brother has an afro too, and my father had a black afro. Okay, the Pleiadian line wasn't really white, just so you know. They were black, and I've spoken about that and written. They were all North America were black people. We didn't come from Africa. It's not an Afro-American group. Okay, I happen to have very green eyes. If you see me and are close to me, I have sparkling green eyes. And I don't know what color my hair is, really. It's getting gray now. And I'm an earth human. Okay? Bye-bye for now.